How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Critically Incorrect. We are on episode 12, and yeah, once again, I'm joined today by Charlie and Justin. If you both wanted to say hi.
Hey, what's
Hello.
up?
Yeah, this week saw the upcoming release, or the newly released Destruction AllStars, as well as the Control Ultimate Edition, so we got some cool impressions on that. But before we get into all that and more, Charlie and Justin, what have you been playing this week?
For
So
me, should I go first or you? I guess
yeah, you can go,
I can go.
Justin.
I can go first. All right, yeah. This week has mainly, the focus has mainly been on Destruction All Stars because that obviously came out, and that was kind of like a game we've been anticipating since it was announced. I think was it announced at the first showcase or the
It was
second? It was
announced
Yeah,
the
as
first
the
one,
first
right?
one, yeah, the June
Right,
one.
yeah, the first one, yeah, okay. So, yeah, that was always anticipated for a while. Obviously, it got moved from being a launch title to being a free PS Plus game, which is good because I don't think I would have paid $80 for that game, especially at launch. Um, but yeah, it's been quite fun. I think we're gonna talk more about that later, so I'll save my thoughts for that. But yeah, other than Destruction All Stars, just a bit more Call of Duty with friends. Yeah, this week has mainly been kind of like a multiplayer week for me. I haven't really played any single player games.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much about it, to be honest. Yeah, just mainly been focusing on Destruction All Stars.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Charlie?
Y- Yeah, so same here. Like all of us we've been playing Destruction All Stars. I'm enjoying it so far. I try to think how much I've played. I want to say like 7-8 hours now. So I've played a decent amount of that. I did start up Control Ultimate Edition. I played a few hours. I'm probably gonna try and get the platinum again because it is super easy to do. Um, and like I've played that game so much, I was just speedrunning, getting so many trophies, just going grinding through the story. And that's really good on PS5. Like if people picked it up and like didn't really give it a fair shake because of the performance and stuff, definitely try it out on PS5 because it runs so much better. It does a really good job with the DualSense and stuff as well. Like when you pick up objects, like the vibration moves to the like back of your controller, and then when you throw stuff, it like shoots to the front. It's really cool. Um, so I've been playing that. I have been playing a bit of Sackboy. I played some with Brandon yesterday. But it's just there's so much lag when you're because it's peer to peer doing like online between regions. So I played a bit more today just solo, and I'm probably just gonna play most of the game solo, and then we'll do like the co-op levels together and stuff. But other than that, what else I have been playing? I feel like there's a big thing that I have been playing loads.
We played
Um,
also Rogue Company a bit yesterday,
we
I
did play a
guess.
bit of Road Company, yeah. Um, Oh, and the God of War update. That was the other thing. I've played. I want to say like 2 or 3 hours of the new patch because I'm finally doing like a new game plus run. To try and platinum the game because I never got around to doing like the Valkyries and stuff. So I'm doing that at the moment. And then just a few multiplayer games here and there, but nothing crazy. I'm sure I'll mention something if I remember. I feel like there was something else, but it's escaped me.
Right on. Yeah, this week, as both of you, I've mainly been focusing on Destruction All Stars. I did download God of War again just to play and see how it runs at 60 FPS because it got a performance update. Also with like a boost in terms of resolution as well, just ultimately using the PS5. I played literally about 5 minutes of it and I'm like, yo, this is awesome, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to replay God of War right now just because obviously there's so many other games I got to play right now. So I just uninstalled it. So I literally downloaded it just to play 5 minutes and then deleted it. But eventually I do want to replay that before Ragnarok, but I guess that will be closer towards that game's release. Yeah, Destruction All Stars as well. I did finish the Resident Evil 7 DLC. I beat the game last week, and then this past week, I went through the DLC, End of Zoe, Not a Hero, and then some of the mini games just to, clear through that a bit. I did most of the DLC. I think there's like only one mini game I didn't really touch, just because I didn't really have the time. I wanted to delete it so I could have space for the games that were coming out this week, like Control. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. The DLC was pretty cool. Like they're all very different from each other, so it's like a variety pack almost. Like the Not a Hero is like very action focused, but then End of Zoe changes how you play the game a bit. Pretty cool stuff there. Besides that, I played like 5 minutes of Control. I still think I want to stream that if I do play through that. Because I really wouldn't have any interest in replaying the game unless I was streaming it. Like, I want to play it, but I can't like warrant myself playing it unless I'm like streaming it or something. But I might do that here in the next few days. We'll see. And then I think that's pretty much it. I played like a bit of Sackboy with Charlie yesterday as well, but really not much else. So a bit uneventful, but yeah, it's mainly just because the Destruction All-Stars have been playing that with you guys quite a bit. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
Sackboy? Were you guys in Sackboy?
I think, well, I left off with Charlie yesterday, about to go into the third world. He said he played some today, so I'm guessing you're now in the third world.
I'm like halfway through the third world now.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So I'm trying to get through it all. I've been 100%ing it as I go along, so I just haven't done like a lot of the ace. Like, I don't think you have to ace every level, right? But I've aced a few of them, but it's mainly just been getting.
You have to get like 30 of them. You have to ace 30 of them.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think the hardest trophies for me are going to be the multiplayer ones, just because I don't have anyone to play it with locally, and when I play it online, I just have too many problems. So it's kind of frustrating, but yeah.
I want to play that in co-op with my brother, but the thing is, he's like such a troll whenever I play with him. I was talking to Charlie about that. Like, it's such a pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I'm going to try to beat that here soon as well, just so I can add it to like the list of miles and Demon Souls and all that. I got to finish Demon Souls as well. I'm on the last world. But yeah, essentially that's what I've been playing. This week's Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I kind of gave up on that. Like, I might come back to it, but like, I honestly like, I'm not like, I don't know, like, I just can't go back to like a game where I'm just crossing things off my list on like a map. Even though you follow the wind, right, and you're not constantly looking at your map, you still gotta like do side missions and stuff and all that. I don't know. It's still an open world game. I will go back to it eventually, but I've kind of given up in the near future, at least right now. So we'll see. Yeah, as I was kind of alluding to earlier this week, saw the release of Destruction AllStars as well as Control Ultimate Edition. Both of those new releases are out for PS Plus. Control Ultimate Edition is obviously also available on Xbox and PC, so go pick it up there. Actually, I think, did the PC version come out a while ago? I know they had some kind of...
I think it just released as the complete edition on PC.
Yeah,
like
it's just like with the DLC and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's mainly for the next generation consoles, besides that. And then also Immortals Fenyx Rising got both a DLC release this week as well as a demo to coincide with that. So if you're interested in Immortals Fenyx Rising, this is kind of the Gods and Monsters game that Ubisoft revealed about a year and a half ago. There is now an available demo to go and try out the game and see if you enjoy it. So yeah, quite a bit to play. And yeah, anything besides that, we have a lot of gaming news, honestly. So I know in the past you said we had a lot of gaming news, but this week in particular, there's a lot of stories. So yeah, we're just going to jump right into it. God of War, yeah, Sony Santa Monica kind of surprised us this week by on Twitter announcing that they're going to be patching God of War. Yeah, just add it to the list of games that are just getting enhanced on PS5. This update essentially just synced the game to 60 FPS, so it had an uncapped frame rate mode on PS4 Pro that kind of got it into like the mid 40s, and then on PS5 it was better. But this kind of just made it inherently like sync to 60 FPS so that this system would recognize it's obviously running on a PS5 and not just like a better system. They also checkerboarded the resolution, so now when you're playing the game, it looks more like a PS5 game in terms of the resolution. I know sometimes when you're playing PS5 games, obviously if you're PS4 games on your PS5, since it is 1080p, it's kind of like jarring for some people if you're playing like on a big 4K TV where that's stretched out. So that kind of fixes that a bit. So yeah, God of War is looking and playing the best it has been ever. So yeah, definitely. If you haven't played God of War, it's free on PS5, and now you get the best experience possible. And even like many of us, even though we played it, I'm sure a lot of us are going to be going back to that in the next few months. So, yes. We already gave our thoughts on God of War PS5, so we'll probably just move on along to the next story. But yeah, that is out and available for free for everyone right now. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I feel like this announcement was kind of like looming over for like the last few months. I know Jeff Grubb has been kind of teasing this throughout 2020, and then on N7 Day we kind of got like a tease that they were doing this, right? but this is like the first like official confirmation that they're doing a Legendary Edition. And it's coming out really soon. So essentially, all 3 games are being remastered for current gen systems. Essentially, really last gen systems. So this is going to be like a PS4, Xbox One release. But obviously, you know, they're going to also be playable in the PS5. But yeah, currently there's no like specific current gen version for like PS5 and Xbox Series X. But nonetheless, Mass Effect is this beloved franchise, obviously at the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation, that is finally getting a remaster. I know many people have been waiting for this to happen. I personally have never played Mass Effect, so I've always thought about buying it on like the Steam summer sale, so I'll probably just wait and buy this on PS5. So yeah, I know Charlie, you said you were looking at buying this, so what are your thoughts on the Legendary Edition being announced?
Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into it. I played a bit of Mass Effect 1 back on 360, but it was just, I played it years after launch, and it's such a clunky game. I think most people had wanted a remake for a long time, and I know they're redoing a lot of the controls and stuff for the first one, which is great. And then I have played Mass Effect 2 years and years ago, and then Mass Effect 3 I've played bits of, but I never beat it, mainly because I wasn't interested, because I know a lot of people said the ending wasn't that great and stuff. But I really want to go in and play all of them now. I don't remember too much, to be honest, from them, so it'll be good to dive back in. It is a shame to see it's not like a native PS5 version it's getting, so currently I'm not sure if I'll get it on console or PC. It'll all be dependent on how it runs on next gen. I hope that it'll be, because I know they've said it's probably going to be like a 4K like upscale and it'll just run better, but hopefully it's 60 as well. If not, I'll probably end up getting it on PC, just because those games are really designed for PC anyway. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a packed May as well. Like,
Yeah,
you're getting
exactly.
Returnal end of April, and then Resident Evil, then this, which is like 3 big RPGs, and then what was the other one? Oh, Deathloop as well. So like, yeah, May is getting busy.
Yeah, there's like release after release like each week in May. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, looks like it's gonna be ramping up here in releases soon. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, Mass Effect. I remember I bought those games on like the Steam sale like years ago, probably like 5 years ago now. Just, you know, like always with the intention of playing it. I think Mass Effect 1 and 2, I like tried both of them out for maybe like a few hours, but like Charlie, you know, like those games came out so long ago, so it really felt outdated when I played it. And I could never like, you know, force myself to keep on going, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I don't know, like I don't know if I'll get it in May, just because, as you said, May is like quite a jam-packed month for games. There's definitely gonna be quite a bit coming out then. But yeah, I mean, I'm like interested in it. I'm not like super excited, just because, yeah, as I said, never really got into it too much. But then again, I do know it was like such a, you know, like big franchise that everyone loved back in the days. So, yeah, I'm interested. I guess I'll, you know, when it comes out, I'll see if I have the time to play it. But yeah.
Just add it to the list of games to play, right, for all of us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see myself starting in May if I do pick it up. Maybe during the summertime, which would be like June. So maybe like a month after that game comes out, I'll make my way through it. I know Mass Effect 2 is deemed as like one of the best games of all time.
Right. Yeah, like one of the best PS3 games.
Yeah, so I definitely want to have an opinion on it and play it so I know what everyone's talking about. But yeah, just add it to the list. Yeah, in other news, a new Battlefield has been confirmed for this holiday. Battlefield obviously has been a series that has, I'd say for the last few years, hasn't exactly made the biggest impact and compared to like their, you know, PS3 days, at least for me and a lot of people in the industry. Essentially, EA confirmed that there's going to be a new installment later this year. It's going to be using the power of the next generation consoles. They said, I believe, it's going to have like the biggest player counts they ever had before, so that's pretty exciting. Besides that, yeah, we only know it's going to be announced this spring, so sometime, you know, in the next few months, we're going to get a reveal, and it's going to come out this holiday. So, yeah, I know, Charlie, you said, we've talked about this a bit yesterday about what we kind of want to see from that game. If you want to kind of echo those thoughts again here.
Yeah, I mean, I think like most people who are fans of Battlefield, we really want it to be a modern warfare combat game again. Like, I enjoyed bits of Battlefield 1, but it was kind of limited, and Battlefield 5 was just kind of air. I remember trying it out before launch and just not being excited about it. Still haven't bought it to this day, which is a shame because I do love Battlefield and I'm a massive fan of 3 and 4. So I do really hope that it is a continuation of those. We know it's going to have more players, so hopefully we're going to get a lot more than 64 because they've been at that for like 15 years of the series now. They've been at 64 players, so having something like 128 or something like 64 v 64 would be crazy. So I'd love to see something like that and more of the destruction we saw in Battlefield 4 because that stuff was really cool. As long as it's not too gimmicky, but I'd love to see some more of that stuff. And they did tease that, I think, at EA Play last summer. They kind of showed off some of the destruction physics they were working on in the new version of Frostbite, so that should be cool to see. But yeah, I just want it to be a good Modern Warfare game. Maybe bring back like their Battle Royale mode that they did for Battlefield 5, because I remember trying it out and I actually really enjoyed it, but it was obviously locked behind Battlefield 5 and there wasn't a ton of players. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see what it ends up being. I just do hope that it is modern combat.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I didn't. When did Battlefield 5 come out? Because I didn't play that one.
I want to say it was
2018.
3 years.
Okay, yes. So it's been a while since I've played a Battlefield game. I played 4, when that came out, and I played a bit of 1, but I never really got into that one too much. So yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm like, Battlefield is definitely still a franchise that is always on my radar. And yeah, I don't know, like, I'm definitely interested to see like where they take the franchise for this next one. I remember like Battlefield 5, there's like a lot of controversy around that one, right? So we'll see if this one kind of improves. But yeah, I'm definitely still interested to see like what they do with the franchise. I don't have too many like ideas on like what they could do to improve. I know like they said it's gonna, or I think they said like super large scale battles, right? Like even like higher than ever before, which is always nice to see. So yeah, I don't know, I guess that's like one of the main ways they seem to implement. They always have like bigger battlefield, obviously, and like bigger fights between teams.
Yeah.
Like what is 64 now or whatever?
I mean, I was thinking like when Charlie mentioned 64 versus 64, the first thing I thought of is like they're gonna have to like double the map size or at least increase it quite a bit.
Exactly.
So then, yeah, hopefully it will look like a next gen game. I know Battlefield 4 was probably like the only game at launch that really looked like it couldn't run. I mean, that and Killzone, I'd argue, on launch day. So hopefully they can make like a showcase for next gen. Oh yeah, NAC too, of course. How could I forget? Yeah, for me, essentially, it just comes down to I want the single player to be another, one adventure game, kind of like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Don't do these mini stories throughout war. I know they can be realistic, right? Because a bunch of stories are, at different perspectives, with different roles throughout war, but the campaigns for Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 were just way better. So just go back to that format. That will immediately help. And then in terms of other aspect of the game, just, I don't know, go back to its roots of like modern day settings. They went with like 5 and 1, went back to World of War 2 and 1, and it was cool. It was nice to see Battlefield take a different direction, but now I'm like really craving them to go back to Modern Warfare, to when I was really enjoying the series. So yeah, it's just kind of been like a while since I've really been playing that series. Like I loved 3. I liked 4 quite a bit as well, like almost as much as 3. And it's kind of crazy. Like I think I prefer Hardline over 1 and 5. Like it's just kind of crazy to see how that series has turned around right now lately, for the worse. So hopefully they can pick it back up, and I guess that brings a smooth transition into the new Call of Duty, which of course is going to happen this year because it's happened for like the last 15 years. Yeah, Activision had an earnings call yesterday, and essentially they just said a new COD is coming out later this year, the holiday season. Surprise, surprise. They had some other news with this alongside saying like more remasters are going to be coming this year. They want to bring the Call of Duty kind of monetization format with like obviously yearly releases, which is something I believe they're trying to acquire Codemasters for, the developers of Dirt, so they can make some other series. Actually, no, that's EA, actually. I got that confused. But essentially, COD is going to be getting a new game later this year. VG Chronicles, they reported that Sledgehammer is actually going to be apparently doing this year's Call of Duty, not Modern Warfare's team of Infinity War. I know that was a rumor that was last year that it was apparently going to be Modern Warfare again. That's not apparently true. It's going to be Sledgehammer. So that gives me immediately a relief for this year's Call of Duty, because obviously, you know, a 2-year turnaround is not going to be good for that game, as we saw with Black Ops Cold War, in my opinion. So essentially, we're looking at this holiday season being a new Battlefield and a new Call of Duty from Sledgehammer. That personally gets me excited, just because I think Sledgehammer is honestly really underrated. I liked Advanced Warfare. I consider that my favorite Call of Duty of the PS4 generation, surprisingly. I was really talking to Charlie about this. Like, it's weird to think that the thing Call of Duty could do that gets me the most excited is literally announce Advanced Warfare 2, which is kind of the polar opposite of the PS4 generation and everyone wanting boots on the ground. But that's kind of where we come around now. So, new Call of Duty coming out later this year. What are your guys' thoughts on that, it being Sledgehammer? I know you guys actually have been enjoying Cold War quite a bit.
Yeah, you know, it's all like, I don't know, new Call of Duty, it's not like big news, obviously. The fact that it's Sledgehammer, though, like, you know, it's good. I enjoyed World War II quite a bit. I never really got into Advanced Warfare too much. Like, I played it a bit, but yeah, as I said, never like really properly got into it like this year I am with Cold War. But yeah, nonetheless, you know, Call of Duty is a game that I tend to usually buy them like every year. I think I buy like most of them. Like, yeah, there's probably only like a few out of the past, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years, like maybe like 1 or 2 that I skipped out on. So, yeah, I don't know, I'm interested in it. I you know, if I had to bet right now, I'd definitely say I'd get it at the end of the year. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Call of Duty is also kind of like one of those series everyone kind of hates on when it gets revealed, but then everyone ends up buying it.
But at the end of the day, like, so many people still buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what it is. The only thing that worries me is that it is still going to be like a 2-year turnaround because of the weird development that happened with Cold War. Because like originally that was a Sledgehammer game. Before getting like booted and given to Treyarch in 2019, so it is going to be like a 2-year turnaround on this game. So what
you think it's still going to be a 2-year turnaround, considering their last game was World War II? Like, they at least have work done, right?
Well, no, because they were working on Cold War until 2019.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
So
yeah,
it was like May, June 2019 that the project got switched over to Infinity Ward, or to Treyarch, sorry. So, like, they haven't been working on whatever this game will be that long. Which makes me think that it could be a sequel to whatever they've done in the past few years, whether that's Advanced Warfare or World War II. I would personally like to see another Advanced Warfare, and I think most people would. I think it makes sense to start going the futuristic route again, mainly because there is a big influx of people wanting those games again. You see things like Apex doing really well, and Titanfall 2 is back in the spotlight again. And people just want those kind of games again, like being able to slide around really quick and take down people. And there's not really a multiplayer game for that anymore. So I think it's entirely possible we get that. Because I don't really know what else they would do. The only other thing I can think is that maybe they end up working on the new Modern Warfare engine, and we get a modern combat game set in that engine. But who really knows? Either way, I'll probably end up getting it. I've enjoyed the past couple of CODs. I'm still playing Cold War pretty regularly. Obviously, the new Zombies map just came out, so I was playing that as well. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. COD's kind of changed quite a bit as well because of Warzone and things, so I expect there'll be some interesting progression going on there like they have with Cold War and things. So. And
I'm guessing that they're going to continue Warzone even throughout the next year in like 2022 and all that, right?
Yeah, I would imagine they want to keep Warzone going as long as they possibly can, which would make sense because it makes a ton of money for them. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How about the news about more remasters coming this year? I know we were going to start talking about this, but we decided to save it for the podcast. I'm trying to think of Activision's back catalog of what they could possibly bring out. It's possible it could be like a Call of Duty remaster, but I feel like they've already done a lot of them. Like, what else could they do? Maybe do World at War, but that also seemed kind of odd. Did you have any thoughts on what this possible remaster could be this year?
I don't really know, right? Because we've had Crash, we've had Spyro and Tony Hawk, and their main studio for those is now part of Blizzard. So
Yeah, exactly.
you know, that's not going to be them doing whatever the remaster is. It could be something for Blizzard. You know, obviously they did Warcraft 3 last year, which ended up being a total flop. So they could be doing something with Blizzard. Honestly, I have no idea what the remaster would be.
Wasn't
If I
there
was to,
like a rumor of a Diablo 2 remaster or something I remember seeing?
I feel like maybe that was a thing, yeah. So it could be that. I'm surprised that they didn't mention like maybe there being a new Spyro game, because there's been a lot of rumors that Spyro 4's the next kind of game in that franchise. Because obviously we had Crash and then
Yeah.
Spyro and then Crash again. So a lot of people are thinking we're going to get Spyro 4 this year, which would make sense. They've had a Crash or Spyro game every year since Insane Trilogy, I think, right? Or did they? No, they have had one every year. 2018, 19,
Yeah.
20. Yeah.
Wait, they had 2017 was the remaster for Crash, and then Spyro was 2018. I want to
18.
say.
Okay, so
Did they have a game in
skipped
2019 though?
Yeah, they had Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess
Yeah,
they
so in
skipped
some format they
2018,
have, yeah.
20. Yeah, they have. Yeah. So I would imagine that would have been coming this year, but they don't really mention that. So I
Do you
don't
know what the developer would be? Because Twitch for Bob definitely wouldn't be working on that, would they?
Who did the Spyro remaster? Was it Beanox?
That was Toys for Bob. So the people that did the Spyro remaster were the ones that made Crash 4, as weird as that sounds.
Okay, right. So yeah, I don't know then. Maybe it isn't this year, but yeah, I really don't know. Because I don't know what else they would remaster. I would imagine we get like a Modern Warfare 3 campaign remaster at some point, but I wouldn't expect that until whatever the Modern Warfare sequel ends up being, and we get it around that time like we did with Modern Warfare 2. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the only thing I could think of is if this year's Call of Duty is another Modern Warfare and they decide to remaster Modern Warfare 3. Because like it wouldn't be like Black Ops or World War, because that would have nothing to do with the current Call of Duty coming out. So yeah, that's kind of my guess as well, is that maybe it's Modern Warfare 3, but who knows? Honestly, Activision has a lot of licensed IPs in their back catalog, so it could be anything, honestly. So, Justin, do you have any thoughts on that or no?
Not too many. Just like as Charlie said, like Spyro already got a remaster recently. Crash did as well, right? So like, I really don't know like what else it could be.
Unless it's Crash Bash. Maybe they'll
There's no way they're
remaster
remastering any
Crash
of the
Bash.
Crash PS2 games.
Yeah,
who
I don't know.
knows?
Like, if it's a new Call of Duty, and I mean, yeah, it could be. Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see, right? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. They did reveal a lot of games. Like, I'm just trying to think of 2020. They like announced like Activision announced like what Crash 4 in June, and that came out like in October. And then they announced Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That was like one of the first like summer games they announced back in like May, and that came out in September. So who knows? I'm sure that will be a reveal later on for the summertime, and we'll cover it when that drops. What I was alluding to earlier, EA is still in the talks of acquiring Codemasters. This has kind of been going on for like the last few months now. I believe the number's at 1.2 billion right now. Essentially, EA is just kind of trying to acquire them to add them to the portfolio alongside like Ghost games. Because as we see through the Need for Speed series, they get like a racing game out like maybe once every other year, but those games sell generally pretty well. So they're looking at making that kind of like an annual release if they can acquire Codemasters, which looks like that deal's going through pretty well. So yeah, that was the confusion I had. So I just wanted to update about that. Alongside this Activision's earning call, they also kind of hinted at the Blizzard side of things, and they said that Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 are not coming out in 2021. Diablo 4, in my opinion, was kind of a no-brainer. That game looks pretty ambitious. And I also thought they kind of showed that off quite early. Overwatch 2, that's a big one. I don't know, because everything I've heard about this game doesn't sound that ambitious. But yet they're also just saying like it's not coming out in 2021. So I know they're doing like a co-op thing with that game. I'm just, yeah, confused at what that game's supposed to be. Is any of this surprising to you? Did you expect Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 to come out this year?
I thought Overwatch 2 would be this year, mainly because that was announced at the same sort of time, but it was kind of worded like, hey, it's pretty far along in development. Like, it's not going to be as long a wait as Diablo 4. Diablo 4 I always thought would be next year, mainly because they were saying that it was far off. Especially with Overwatch as well, like, the community isn't in the same place it was, 2-3 years ago. I very rarely hear about it other than when, like, Overwatch League happens. And I think a lot of people really want 2 to come out because they want new Overwatch content. I personally really want to dive back in, but the game is just, like, so unbalanced and people complain about it so much that I don't really want to. Especially with BlizzCon Online is happening this month, and Overwatch 2 is meant to be there. A lot of people assumed there was going to be a release date announcement for sometime this year, but obviously that's not happening anymore. Maybe there will be a beta like end of the year, but it seems very unlikely that, because they don't say outright it's not coming out this year, but they just say, hey, we don't anticipate it releasing in this fiscal year. Which is why they weren't going to give numbers for it and stuff. So who knows, it could do, but it doesn't seem likely, which is a shame because Blizzard's not in the best shape right now. A lot of people don't really care about what they do anymore. So
sadly, like, I think I was talking to you about this. It's like, yeah, Blizzard has been like so beloved, but like lately for like the last few years, it's not has been as nice for them. So they really need to hit with Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2.
Right.
I know for sure Diablo 4 looks good. What? Yeah, the phone.
You all have phones,
you know what's
right?
surprising is Diablo Immortals apparently is good, even though it's on the phones. So I'm sure that we'll get some kind of like release on consoles maybe eventually. Who knows? But I've heard really good things about that from people that have played it. Yeah, Justin, did you have any thoughts? I know you generally don't really play.
Probably not. Yeah, I'm like in
games.
that camp of people you just talked about like not really caring about too much about what they've been doing. Because I don't know, like Diablo's never really been anything I've tried. Overwatch, I played a bit of it when it came out, but then again, it was never like a multiplayer I invested a lot of time into. So yeah, like I don't know, the news that it's not coming out this year doesn't really impact me too much. If it comes out, like I could try it out, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess if it comes out 2022, I don't know, if I'm looking for a multiplayer game, I could try that out still.
I'd be down to give Overwatch 2 a try because I did like what I played of Overwatch 1.
Yeah. I mean, like,
yeah,
I had fun with it. It just wasn't like something I invested like a large amount of time into. But it was fun to try it, like play every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, speaking of like acquisitions, as we were hinting at earlier, Sony had an earnings report, and they had quite a bit of information in terms of like the corporate side of things this week. First of all, they sold 4.5 million PS5s already as of the holiday quarter, which is pretty crazy. If you think about it, like they sold 4.5, but then you see everyone online still like trying to get one, right? It's just kind of crazy to see the demand of the PS5. Alongside this, they said that they aim to exceed the PS4's 14.8 million second year. So it looks like they're, most likely going to hit that considering what we've seen right now, obviously, of the demand for the PS5. The shortages, parts have mainly been the issues as why the PS5s hasn't been as easily available as they have been. So that has been due to the parts. That hopefully will get better throughout the year, but there's no really kind of saying whether that will, actually happen. So it's just all in the manufacturing side of things. Besides that, Sony also confirmed that they are taking a loss, which isn't surprising to be the case for the first few months of a system's life cycle. Generally, at least for like the first few months to possibly even the year. A console will obviously sometimes take a loss to ensure that they reach a price point, obviously, that the consumers will buy the product at. And then oftentimes this is made in the knowledge that they're going to make, digital sales that will help them kind of, compensate for that loss. So that generally is something that you see, but that was just something that we didn't know for sure. But Sony did confirm that this week. They are taking a loss for every single PS5 that's manufactured. So I guess we'll talk about this news first before we get into the other PlayStation news. any of this surprise you? I know we all have PS5s, but we've seen like kind of how crazy the demand is with like the pre-orders and all that. Yeah, just.
I think like just the number that we got with like 4.5 million, it just shows like how much higher it could be, right? Because of all the demand, as you said. Like I don't know what the actual statistic is, like, or like the ratio comparing to like people that like
Want
are
one,
able to get
yeah.
one, or like compared to the people that like want one but couldn't get one, right? But it's just like you go on Twitter or something, whenever or like a store basically says like we have PS5s available like in the next hour or something, like you can get into the queue or something, and then you'll see like all the replies, oh, I was in the or like I added to my cart but it didn't let me check out or something like that. It's just like filled with all those tweets. Yeah, it shows that there's definitely like insane amount of demand, and like they just can't keep up with that demand right now, which is a shame. You know, I definitely have like a few friends that want to get one, that aren't able to. You know, like even Dan
Yeah,
wants to get one, right? And like he hasn't been able to find one for so long, which is a shame. Obviously, you know, like I'm sure like they want as many as people as possible to get their hands on the console. But yeah, nonetheless, like eventually they'll get it, right? In time they will get it, and like it's just interesting to see all the demand for the console. And it, you know, it makes me kind of glad that I have mine, obviously, right? But yeah, other than that, what else did you mention other than
So I was gonna also add that Spider-Man Miles Morales has sold 4.1 million, so that game's doing really well as well.
so that's a really high. Oh wait, that's including PS4 though.
Yeah, I mean that's still really high. For
Yeah,
like
I
a
know.
system
I was
game,
gonna
but
say,
yeah.
I was thinking, I'm like, man, 4.1 to 4.5 attach rate. That's like
Yeah.
insane. But like, nah, but that's still really good. Obviously, like, considering it's like, I don't know, like considering at least we knew not to expect like a full, you know, like a full game like the original Spider-Man, right? Like,
Yeah.
in a way, it's like its own kind of like the Lost Legacy standalone type of thing. But yeah, nonetheless, it's great to see that game do well. I obviously, yeah, I didn't have any doubt it wouldn't do well, right? Like,
And just kind of also goes to show that, of
Spider-Man
course,
always does
Miles would be on PS4 as well, just because you see how big of an IP this is, and there's
Yeah.
100 million PS4 systems out there plus now. Yeah, just Sony's doing really good with that IP, and I'm sure we all expect that there's going to be a Spider-Man 2 sometime in the next few years coming to PS5 after Ratchet and Clank. What about you, Charlie? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see how well it's doing. It's just a shame it's, you know, not as high as I'm sure they originally hoped. I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot because originally they were trying to do like artificial shortages, which Nintendo is known for, and they did that with the Switch, where they'll limit how many Switches they're sending out to try and drive up hype. So that when restocks come in, they sell more consoles because people are like, oh, I can't get hold of this. I need to buy it now rather than waiting. And unfortunately, that meant that when COVID happened, all their stock, they obviously couldn't make as much as they would have wanted to anyway. Because that's the thing. I think at the moment it's selling about on par as the PS4 did, but that's only because they can't actually make them. I feel like if they could make them, they'd be way ahead right now. There are still so many people trying to get hold of them, which is crazy considering, you know, it's not a cheap console, and these aren't times where people not always have a ton of money to spend right now. So the fact that they are selling as many as they are is insane. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to ease up anytime soon. I know the head of AMD said that they're having problems not only supplying the chip for the PS5s, but also just for their own CPUs that people can buy for PCs. They're really struggling to get Ryzen CPUs out. So that is slowing down the manufacturing time purely because, you know, it's not all just Sony making these parts, it's other companies as well. But yeah, it's good to see how well it's doing though. I guess the other thing we can briefly mention with Sony is that MLB has been confirmed to come to Xbox this year.
Yep.
And it's also gonna have the PlayStation logo on the box, which is crazy because they're technically a PlayStation studio, so it has the PlayStation Studios logo on an Xbox case, which I just think is really funny.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the first time in the entire IP's history that it's coming to.
Yeah, I think they
Xbox
announced
as well.
MLB like had a post on their Twitter like a few months ago, but yeah, this week we saw the box art, which is what made it funny considering we saw the PlayStation Studios logo on an Xbox case, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny. I don't even think has Xbox ever put a game on PlayStation besides like Minecraft.
I guess, well, not Cuphead because I don't know if they own that IP.
Yeah, that's a little hard.
So I don't know if they.
Well, at least
class
first
the publisher
physical
or not,
release, I want to
but-
say at least, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be funny to see in stores at least. So, just
I
weird,
mean,
man. It's weird.
it'd be interesting if maybe that happens. If Elder Scrolls comes out on PlayStation, if it'll have like an Xbox logo on the box.
That's very true.
Because stuff like that will obviously be owned by Xbox at that point, so we'll see. But yeah, it's strange times. It's a new generation and big changes are happening. So
Yep. Another news story with Sony actually comes in the way of acquisitions. This isn't like studio acquisitions, but like acquisitions into certain companies. Sony's just kind of, obviously investing into certain companies that they see fit for their brand and all that. I believe this past week, they put 1.2% into From Software's parent company. I'm forgetting the name of it. That's what I've been trying to look up real quick here. But essentially, they kind of came out and said that they're going to be most likely ramping up that because they've seen that kind of grow Sony a bit. So most likely what this means for like us as the consumer is just that there might be closer ties in terms of third-party deals, possibly with From Software's next game. I'm not sure if that will affect Elden Ring, considering that game's already been announced, with Xbox. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but they are acquiring like parts of certain companies. So we might see some relationships and, come out of the way of that. I also know that this is also a tactic kind of used in business. Like if you're trying to fund a product that maybe is like 2 million, but that equates to like 1.2% of like a company stock, they'll just buy stock and then count that as the investment. So some people are saying that might also be just kind of like a deal that they struck, but they decided just to put it in terms of stock investment. So who knows? But nonetheless, Sony is going to be doing that in the foreseeable future in terms of the gaming aspect. Just don't, expect this to be like big studio acquisitions in terms of like Insomniac. It's still possible we see those, just that's not what they're talking about here. So yeah, just a smaller news story in terms of that. It hurts because it reminds me of Elden Ring, but we're not going to talk about that. So, yeah, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. We literally have another acquisition story right after this as well, so that's funny. Anything or no?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's interesting when this stuff happens because it could lead to bigger things in the future. If Sony decide, hey, this, us putting money into this, we're making a lot of money, maybe we should think about acquiring these guys. And if that is the case, then they would technically own From Software, which would be a big deal for them. And I'm almost certain that Sony have probably like talked about it at some point. They have close ties with FromSoft anyway, and I'm sure they'd love to have that studio. And I would like to think that this is them putting their foot in the door and being like, hey, here's some money, maybe you should do some stuff for our PS5 guys. So we'll see what that leads to in the future. I don't know, did they ever say if like
it's Kadokawa, by the way, corporation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever say if like Elden Ring has a deal with Xbox for marketing? They
So,
didn't, did they? They just kind of
It's a marketing
right?
deal at least, I'm guessing. Oh, the thing is, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a marketing deal. It was announced on Xbox's stage, I believe, just like Dark Souls 3 was, which I don't recall if that had a marketing deal.
Sekiro
Same
was
thing happened to
showed at
Sekiro.
Xbox, right?
Sekiro was
Yeah.
also revealed there as well. No idea if it's going to be a specific marketing deal. It could just be something that they decided to announce it on their stage as like a avenue. Because I know Devil May Cry 5 was also announced on Xbox's stage, but I don't remember that being an Xbox marketed game. I could be wrong. It's always
I don't
hard
think
because
it was
obviously
even a
this is the stuff that you see on
PlayStation
TV
marketed
and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's possible. But I don't believe they have officially confirmed it because we literally only have that one trailer of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen like any possibility for promotion yet. So who knows? I don't even think if they do marketing material like that with a certain publisher, I don't think they lock content away from other platforms. I don't remember that ever being the case with Dark Souls 3. I could be wrong, or even Sekiro. So If it was, it would just be a strictly marketing deal, I'm guessing. But yeah. The only times they've ever locked out platforms is when they specifically go with a certain publisher like Sony for a game like Bloodborne or Demon Souls. Bloodborne or Demon Souls. So yeah. Man, hopefully we see Elden Ring soon. That's definitely a game I really want to... It's kind of weird because, like, I mentioned it, right? But I've kind of just erased it out of my brain. Like, when I think of 2021 games, I don't even consider Elden Ring coming out this year because I don't think it will come out this year. So, like, I'm hopefully in a position where whenever they do talk about this game, I'll only be surprised and not disappointed. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Anyways, the next acquisition story I was kind of talking about and hinting about. Embracer Group acquired Gearbox for $1.2 billion. Essentially, Embracer Group have acquired other developers in the past. What was the developer you mentioned, Charlie?
So at the same time, as they acquired Gearbox, they acquired Aspyr as well.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing with Aspyr before we get to Gearbox is that they're not really known for a ton of stuff, but they've worked on Star Wars in the past. They did some updates and the port for the old Knights of the Republic 2 game on PC. They recently ported Jedi Knight to Switch and PS4. And they're currently working on a new game in an existing big IP. And there's also been a big rumor that a new Knights of the Old Republic game is in development. So people are starting to think that maybe Aspyr are working on it because of their already kind of connection with Lucasfilm. So this could be interesting to see if that is the case, because obviously they're not the biggest name, but it'd be cool to see them tackle something like that. So yeah, that's just worth noting.
Yeah, subsidiaries below the Embracer Group is THQ Nordic, Koch Media, Saber Interactive, some pretty big names like that. So
yeah,
they definitely have quite a bit of hold around the gaming industry. So that's interesting. In terms of what that means for Borderlands, they did confirm that 2K will still continue to publish that. So they obviously still have, contracts with 2K and licensing agreements like that. But Gearbox's other franchises apparently can be used by any of the other developers under the Embracer Group. So who knows what that can mean for Gearbox's future games and their IPs currently besides Borderlands. So yeah, that was I think I said 1.2 billion. It's actually 1.3 billion. So I was a little bit off there, but still big plays. So. Any thoughts on that, Justin? I know you also don't really play
much in terms
of Gearbox.
Yeah, as you said, like just I guess like now there's like a lot more possibilities, right, with all these other studios that.
It's just kind of like a trend. Like we see, like obviously with games needing, a lot of years to make, like acquisitions kind of help with that. If you can acquire talent, like it seems like every big studio that has potential is kind of being bought up. There's only a few I can think of that are big studios that haven't been bought out yet, like. Bluepoint's still obviously out there. I'm sure. I don't know. I feel like Sony has had to talk to them, right? Because they would be stupid not to. But who knows? Maybe they don't see it worthwhile. But there's only a few kind of indie devs that still make some pretty big games out there that are still independent. So, and then obviously there's like Gearbox is a publisher, right? So even in their case, like it's a publisher being bought out. So it's like now there's like a tier list, I guess, now going on because they were publishing other games besides obviously their own games. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting. Just seems like they're all kind of clustering, which is kind of scary at the same time. But yeah, it's like the difference between indie and AAA is kind of only getting bigger and bigger, honestly, as the years go by, which is bizarre. But yeah,
for me, Gearbox has always been a weird company anyway. So I'm interested to see what this would end up meaning for the company. I'm personally not like a massive fan of theirs. Like I enjoy Borderlands 2 especially. I didn't really care for Borderlands 3. I didn't think it was that great. Same with Battleborn, and obviously Randy Pitchford is pretty scummy. So he's not the greatest studio head, and they published Godfall and there was weird practices behind that. So like they're not the best company in the world, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of them being owned by somebody else that also owns, like THQ Nordic, which are widely regarded as one of the better developers at the moment. They've released some great games and remakes in the past few years. So we'll see what happens to Gearbox, but yeah, I'm not like their biggest fan. So
yeah, I could probably say the same as well. Like honestly, my only relationship with them is really the Borderlands series, I guess. I haven't really played any of the other games. Yeah, as you said, like Randy Pitchford is kind of known in the gaming industry as kind of like a weird figure. Obviously, I'm not going to say what has happened because you can do a quick Google search for yourself on that. And it's not really related, but yeah, I agree. Anyways, the Silent Hill composer has teased a project reveal that fans should be looking out for and should be excited by coming this summer. I really hope this isn't another case where fans get excited for another Silent Hill game and then nothing comes out of it. I know during the PS5 reveal throughout the summer, everyone was kind of hoping to see Silent Hill. That was like a big rumor. Nothing really came out of that. So, yeah, just take it what you want. It's just teasing. Hopefully it's worthwhile. Could just be another horror game, right? Or another project he's working on. But he did say fans should be excited about. So
yeah,
it should be something already known and existed. That's anticipated at least. So yeah,
because I know recently he did like the music for The Medium, so people were saying, oh, it could just be a smaller project. But you would imagine if he's saying that fans should be looking out, you'd imagine that it's for an existing franchise. And I'm sure the guy knows that he's most known for Silent Hill, so you would hope he wouldn't tease something like this. So hopefully it means a new Silent Hill. I'd love to see like a reboot of the series because I've never really played Silent Hill. You know, I've seen bits and I've watched things and written about it a bit for my work, but I haven't played them myself. And obviously Silent Hills was a big deal when that got cancelled. So hopefully something comes of it, but I guess it's just waiting and seeing what gets revealed in the summer and whether it ends up being Silent Hill.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, it is Silent Hill. I'd love to see that for the people that are looking for that. As Charlie said, like I am also trying to play the Silent Hill games. I might play them before April, because I do have PlayStation Now, and my subscription ends like in April. I've hardly used it besides to play the Ratchet and Clank games on PS3, really. So I'll probably try to play through the collection that exists on the PS3. I saw that like the other day on the PS Now, so I'll probably do that before April. But yeah, hopefully it's a new game. Again, it's with Konami. I don't know what they're doing over there. Kind of a weird company and also really hated, right? So I don't even know if they want this game to exist. They like money, right? So you'd think they would, but who knows, man. Anything, Justin?
Yeah. I mean, like you guys, Silent Hill has never like been a franchise I've really ever tried. But obviously, I know like the big hype surrounding that series. It feels like every few weeks we're talking about something related to Silent Hills. Like it was I think it was rumored for the Game Awards or whatever, and then like a bit before that too with the PlayStation event. So yeah, definitely I'd be interested to see something revealed this summer. I hate it when like all these teases happen and then everyone gets their hopes up like super high and then they ultimately get disappointed. So keeping my expectations in check. I'm definitely not like expecting it like for sure, but yeah, I'm definitely interested. And I guess we'll have to wait until the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing we can really do besides wait, and hopefully it's worthwhile. Literally right before we recorded this, Prince of Persia, the remake, did get delayed. This is the game that was supposed to come out next month in March. Obviously, Prince of Persia Sands of Time, really beloved game, getting a remake, and obviously there's been strong opinions on this ever since its reveal back in September. Mainly, I would want to say on the graphics side of things, like, obviously the game is going to play how it did, right? But the graphics didn't look that impressive, so all they said is that it's delayed kind of indefinitely. This is essentially like The Last of Us got. They haven't mentioned anything. They just said later in the year. So this could mean April, which I highly doubt. It could mean the summer. It could mean the fall. My guess is any time past summer. So, yeah. I think Justin, before this, he said July possibly. I think that's right around the money. Probably July to fall, I could see it coming out. So, sad news. I know both of you were looking forward to playing that. I was going to pick it up too because Sands of Time was one of the first games I remember playing as a kid. So it has a place in my heart as well. I'd want to play it and see how much I remember of it, but won't be able to do that for at least it looks like the next few months until the game finishes up. Obviously, delays are a good thing. We don't want the game to be bad. In this case, it looks like it's about the quality. I do want to say, though, it is a Ubisoft game, and once again, a Ubisoft game got delayed, so, man.
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
I find it like crazy how this game was originally supposed to come out in January and then obviously got delayed till March. And then now it's been delayed indefinitely. So yeah, as you said, it's not gonna come out like for a while at least. And yeah, I said I think like July might be like a kind of like a period where I guess in the summer there's not as many games coming out. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just crazy that I think like it got delayed from January all until like now indefinitely. But yeah, as you said, the graphics, like I remember it just like they look so bad when it was revealed. Basically looked like a PS3 game. So I don't know, like like can they really change the graphics like a lot at this point? Like even if it's delayed like an extra few months, like I don't even know. Like
They could do a bit of work. I mean,
it depends how much
they
they've
can
already
improve it a
done.
bit, but like I don't know if they can like I feel like it's already like kind of set in stone, like they can change a bit, improve it a bit maybe, but I don't know.
it's not like one of the biggest parts of a game that's set in stone. I'd say that's more like on the engine side of things. But yeah, it is kind of weird to do this late in the development cycle.
Yeah, because like I don't know,
just
like I think
depends
it's
on the
like
resources
it's
they
weird
give
that
it.
they like noticed now because they mentioned right. It's like like I read over what they said like really briefly, like how they're like like we've seen like what like a lot of criticism or whatever. I don't know what they said. Like basically like fans have been very like vocal about their
Feedback,
opinions.
I think is the
Yeah,
word they
yeah.
use, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like a lot of feedback. Basically, obviously, they're implying to like, literally all the comments like on that like reveal trailer are like, oh, I want a remake, but not like this, like something like that. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of weird that they decided like now they're like, oh yeah, we gotta take some extra time to fix.
If they want
you
to
know.
do a remake that's like actually like insanely graphically impressive, like everyone wants it to be, that would be like, I feel like that would take like a year to do, right? Like that's a big overhaul because the game doesn't like look that good, and if people expect it to look like the remake they envision in their head, they have a lot of work to do. So I'm not sure what their plan is, if they're trying to make it the game that everyone wants it to be, or if they're just trying to fix it to make it serviceable for people. No idea, but yeah, who knows?
I mean, for me, I personally don't think it's coming out until like September, October, mainly because I'm like almost certain they're trying to change it quite drastically. Um, Especially, I don't think it helps that it's not a big Ubisoft studio making it. It's a new studio. Like I can't even think where it's based. It's in like India or something, right? It's like a really small studio that hasn't really worked on anything themselves before. Um, and I honestly think that as soon as that got revealed, they were trying to get a delay, and Ubisoft didn't want them to. And they've slowly given them more time, and eventually they've just got, hey, if you want us to make a change that is going to make more people buy this game, then we need more time. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets re-announced at Ubisoft Connect or whatever the hell the thing's called in around E3 time, and it looks quite different. Just because this is the first Prince of Persia game in once it comes out, like 11 years or something. No, when was it? 2012, I think. Forgotten Sands. So like 8-9 years. So like they want it to be good, and they want it to sell well, I'm sure. And I think fans do as well, because if this doesn't do well, I don't think we get another Prince of Persia game, at least for a very long time. So I do
That would
hope it
suck.
does well, just to see the franchise come back. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be a longer delay, especially because when they've indefinitely delayed stuff before, it was, at least 6 months. Like all the stuff that got delayed last year was from February, March to November, December. So I don't see this coming out for a while. But it is a
Yeah.
shame, but at the same time, if it means we get a better game out of it, then I'm all for it. So
Yeah, it's disappointing, but I mean, yeah, as you said, like if the game looks massively better than it does now, then that's a win in my opinion. So
yeah.
it sucks, but what can you do? Anyways, to conclude off this episode, we are going to be talking about our initial impressions of Destruction AllStars. All of us have played quite a bit of the game. I want to say at least all of us have played at least 5 hours, so we have decent impressions on this game. Not sure where to start. I guess Justin, you could start with your impressions, just kind of start the
Sure,
conversation.
sure.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know where to start, to be honest.
It's like hard. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's like it's just like a fun multiplayer game to play with friends. It's not something I'd really play on my own unless I was going for the trophies, which I was trying, like, I don't know, yesterday I was trying to get some of the trophies because that was, like I basically finished, like all the side trophies. I mainly only have like the character trophies now, so like I feel like I can get those over time just by playing, so it's like, I don't know if I really have to like hunt down for those, unless, I don't know, maybe some of them are a bit hard. But yeah, in terms of the actual game, I don't think it's a game that I'd be playing for like a super long time unless they add, like regularly update the game, right? Because at its core, like the gameplay is kind of basic, to be honest. Like, you're just
Ramming cars.
like, in the end, you're just driving your car and smashing people as hard as possible. Okay, that sounds really bad, but you're like, you're trying to like use your car for destruction, basically like hitting other vehicles, and then like depending on what game mode, if you're doing like Carnado, like getting gears, depositing them in the bank, and scoring points for your team. Mayhem, you're just basically just trying to cause as much destruction as possible, right? So yeah, I don't know, like, unless they add tons of new game modes and like regular updates with like new characters and stuff, I don't see the game lasting like too long. I don't think it's gonna be like the next Rocket League or, yeah, like man, I don't even know. Like, there's like a few characters that are like that obviously that are quite popular right now, and then there's just like a few other ones that no one seems to use because their powers are just like irrelevant. And then like I guess they try to be like kind of like outside the box in terms of like how there's gameplay in the car, and you can also like jump out and you're like running around. But in terms of like when you're running around like just as a person, you're basically kind of useless to the objective, Like, if you're playing a team game, yeah, you can like run around, basically collect shards to, I guess like what's it called? Like to get your hero vehicle, right? But like that still takes a while. Like, you literally have to run all across the map, getting like as many shards as possible to get your hero vehicle. And other than that, like running around literally doesn't do anything for your team. Even if you're playing Mayhem, you're just running around getting shards. You're kind of falling behind while everyone else is still using their vehicles and scoring points. And you're also like super vulnerable to attack if like someone runs you over.
You could jump on their car, man. Take them out.
I guess, but like sometimes it literally happens out of nowhere.
Yeah, I agree.
And like also like jumping on top of the car, like people can shake you off so easily. It's impossible to like time faster than them shaking the left joystick. Yeah. So like, yeah. But I mean, nonetheless, I'm like, I sound really negative, but like I'm still having fun with it. I can see myself playing it for a few weeks, I guess, until something else comes out in March, I guess. Yeah, I guess those are my thoughts. This is kind of like a long rant, but yeah.
What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think overall I'm in agreement with Justin. It's fun, and I'm enjoying the game, and I'm still playing it, and I'll continue to go back to it. How long that'll be for, I don't know. And I think that's mainly down to there's just a lack of content. There's 4 modes. You can only play 2 solo and 2 in groups. There's no real progression system, like you level up, but you just get points to spend on cosmetics, which overall aren't that great. There's a few interesting skins, but there's nothing that really stands out. The fact that a lot of the single player content is locked behind paywalls sucks. Thankfully, it's not too expensive. I bought a few coins just to play through them. And whilst I feel like they are worth the money, like they're not expensive or anything, it is a shame that there's no way to even try to grind like content to unlock them, because there's literally no way right now to get the destruction points, which is like the paid currency. I do know they've said that they are planning to add challenges in the future to get points without paying money, which I think they really need to add, because it would be nice to be able to play that content without having to pay money. But at the same time, I get it. You know, they made it through a PS Plus. I'm interested to see if it would have been like this if it had launched at £70, $70, whether they
insane.
still would have locked off content, because obviously it did have microtransactions before it got delayed anyway. I would imagine this was a recent change because of the switch to PS Plus. But yeah, overall, I'm enjoying the game. I do think, like Justin said, being out of your vehicle kind of sucks. Like, it's interesting and the gameplay's fun, but you don't really get rewarded for it. You feel like you're constantly going, well, I need to get in a car, otherwise I'm going to lose because I get no points. Like, KOing people on the ground gets you, like, no points. You don't get any points for running around and getting shards. If by some miracle you manage to damage a car with a trap that you like run over, you usually only get like a single point, which is really not useful in the scheme of things. So you almost feel like you're constantly running around just trying to get shards so that you can get your hero vehicle. So I feel like the key to running around is you jump out quickly, grab a few shards, and then get in a car, and then jump out somewhere else. There is a mode that tries to prioritize getting out your vehicle with I can't even think what it's called. Stockpile, yeah. Where you have to get out of your vehicle to pick up the gears and stuff. But personally, I think that's the weakest of the modes. It's not that enjoyable. So I do hope they maybe add some more incentive to playing outside of your vehicle. I think maybe the idea that you could damage vehicles whilst outside of one in more ways than just taking over a car would be interesting, because again, if you like take over a car, you don't really get any points. Same with like wrecking them. There are problems, but a lot of them for me are balance issues. Like, they're things they could easily tweak over time, which is what a lot of these games are made around, is listening to fan feedback, and so far they seem to be looking into that. I know there's obviously the problem with the whole not being able to mute the party without using the PlayStation card thing, and I think
they fixed that this morning
to patch that. Oh, they fixed that in the patch today. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good that they're rolling that stuff out pretty quickly. I do think it needs to have content pretty regularly, otherwise players are going to drop off. I also think they need to add in PlayStation characters. It feels like a no-brainer to add some characters. It would just be an easy.
It'd add a lot of personality to it as well.
Yeah, I mean,
not like it needs more personality, but like it needs different personality.
Especially, like, I loved PlayStation AllStars Battle Royale. Like, I loved that game, and that IP should totally come back. And what better than a racing game with all these cartoony characters? I think characters like, obviously, Sackboy, they had a kart racer. That's an easy fit. And Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal makes sense. Yeah, you said Sly Cooper to me the other day. I honestly think Knack would be a choice that they should definitely do, because even if this stuff is paid, people would pay for that. Just for a meme.
People would pay just a meme, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that stuff is cool, and I think they should definitely lean into it, because Sony don't really do that enough. And I was a big fan of All Stars on PS3 because of it being so silly and fun with their great IPs. And since then, Sony hasn't really done anything like that, so I'd really like to see them be able to lean into that. Hopefully it's something they're thinking about. But I guess
it's a shame because they have so many new IPs since All-Stars came out. Like, Last of Us wasn't a thing, Bloodborne wasn't a thing, half the IPs that came out this generation on the PS4.
Mm.
They have like so many new characters full of potential to use. Yeah, it's a shame. I definitely think you're right. I think they should definitely go on the wacky side. Like, it is one annoying thing. Like, I feel bad for the developers because obviously they're kind of crafting their own universe, right, with their own characters, but it would really help if they had like PlayStation IPs. Like, maybe don't do every single character, like have half the lobby full of, PlayStation characters, but like at least do some cameos with like a new Ratchet, because the new Ratchet and Clank game's coming out. Hell, do Sly Cooper, do, Sackboy, like you said. Sackboy would make a lot of sense, so yeah. Anything else in terms of that?
I think that's a bit about it, really. Like I said, they just need to make sure that they're listening to feedback and adding content regularly. I know they've said they're planning to add new modes and remixes and new characters and stuff. But that stuff really is needed. I know they've already taken on feedback about music, Like because a lot of people feel like it's pretty quiet when you're in a game, and they've said, hey, that was on purpose, but we're definitely looking into it. So if you want music in the game, then you can have Destruction All Stars music, which would be cool. Um, and yeah, they've also talked about how there are definitely some characters that are being used a lot more than others. Like they were talking about the tiger looking dude. Like he seems to be used a lot. Blue Fang, yeah. So hopefully balance
Yeah, because
changes
he has
are
like
gonna
those
be nice and quick.
he has those massive
Yeah,
sword
that's the thing.
blades,
Like
yeah.
he has
in
like
front of
such
him.
a great ultimate, right? That can be used in most
Yeah.
situations. And then you have other characters that will target like someone random, and you're focusing on targeting one person.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why would I ever go for that character over this character?
Yeah.
You know
There's
which
just
one is
not
actually
much. Yeah.
You know which one is actually really powerful? I don't know I forgot what her name was. It's like Ratu or something. It's the one
Ratu's
with
really
the
good.
giant explosion.
Yep.
Like the 5 second dude, that one's crazy.
I want more characters like Ratu. Ratu
you can
acts
get
differently
80
in a
points.
way.
You
Yeah,
can get
because
80 points instantly with her, like every time.
you power her up by
Yeah.
hitting other opponents, which is different from most of the All-Stars in that game. I almost want to say like all.
Yeah.
They need more characters like that where they play differently, because then that one you can't just wait around and get your ultimate, right? You got to actually drive and hit people, and then it's like a risk and reward since it is so powerful. So they need to focus more on those kind of characters. Yeah, that's honestly that's one of my biggest takeaways is that there's just so many characters that I don't care about and I don't see feasible, and it's like mostly like 5 maybe that are actually usable and useful. Another thing I don't like is that like the characters on foot have breakers, but I mainly only use them really for their double jump and their faster speed.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not trying to kill people when I'm on foot. I'm trying to get a different car. That's like literally the only part. Whenever I'm on foot, I'm either collecting shards or trying to get a car.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Shift has the only like great one really in terms of the fact that he can go invisible, or maybe Hana since she can one hit someone. But besides that, they're all kind of trash. In terms of my thoughts on the game, I think the game's very fun to play mindlessly. I don't think there's a lot of depth to it. I kind of talked about this in my video that I uploaded. I finally uploaded a video on my channel in like 2 months. Yeah, I just think there needs to be more strategy in this game. Just because at the end of the day, I just play it like it's TDM almost, where I'm just ramming cars, and then obviously just switching cars and all that, and just there's not really much strategy going on in my head. I see a car on the side, I try to run into it. If I have like an ultimate, I'll use it, right? But there's not really much synergy between characters that can contrast each other or work together well, or even use strategically, right? So yeah, that's a complaint I have. I also think that there should be variety, like more variety in maps. They're all kind of just these domes that are fairly futuristic, and I can see that obviously like kind of like similar to the music thing where it's intentional, but I definitely think there needs to be some variety there, just because obviously you want to go for the choice that increases variety for the player. You don't want to just keep seeing these metal domes. You want to have something else to look at as well. So I definitely think this game has potential. Even everything after I said, like, I'm having fun with it. I'm going to be playing it for the next few weeks, maybe even months, depending on how the developers turn this around. Yeah, so far of what we've heard, them communicating with us has been pretty promising. So hopefully it turns out well. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I definitely think the gameplay loop is more fun than I expected it to be, but it definitely still has some issues. So only time will tell. I'm enjoying the game. Not sure if this is really going to be like the next Rocket League, obviously, because it doesn't really have that kind of long-term strategic play that most games like that do. But it's fun. So, yeah. Any concluding thoughts before we end the episode?
No, not really. Just like, yeah, as you said, I personally don't see it being the next Rocket League. Just because one, like, nah, I don't know. Yeah, like as you said, Rocket League is a game that actually does involve like quite a lot of skill. Like to be the best, like is like insane level of skill and strategy when you're like working together as a team. Whereas in this game, like you're just destructing cars. You don't really work together with your teammates really. And at the end of the day, you're just as I said, you're just using your car to hit other vehicles. There's really not too much skill involved or strategy, so I could see it lasting for a bit, but definitely not like a super long run like Rocket League.
I guess I'll add one last thing because I didn't mention this in my video and I wanted to mention it. The DualSense use of
That's true.
Destruction AllStars is
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, you could feel each footstep as your character is walking, which is something that Astro did that I want to see more games use. Control also, funnily enough, did it as well. It's almost like these developers played Astro during the holidays and got inspired to do that for their own game. So I'm definitely glad that's a trend with the individual footsteps. And then even things like the triggers, when you get slammed and all of a sudden your car is like, damaged, right? Like you'll feel pressure on the trigger, push against your finger and push up, like you're fighting it for a bit. So it's definitely really nice. It's also like, it's not annoying to use. It's, like in Call of Duty's case, it can be very realistic, but also annoying. This just feels, realistic and kind of nice and adds to the gameplay and all that. Like you'll be driving and I don't even need to see my area of the car that's damaged. I can kind of feel it with the haptics where my car might be damaged. So definitely really good use of the DualSense as well. So
Yeah. No, like when you like accelerate, if your car's damaged, it feels like the muffler's like tweaking or whatever. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like yeah, like.
or like if a
running
wheel's
properly.
popped off, you'll all of a sudden feel like something
Yeah.
on the right side of the controller, like it might be a little bit lighter or heavier. You'll feel something that indicates that it's damaged. So yeah,
Right.
just the controller is great. Once again.
I think like the other thing with like the Rocket League comparison as well is so many people mention that because it's cartoony and it's got cars
Or it's just
and,
PS Plus as
and
well.
yeah, and I really don't think like I never thought it would be the next Rocket League, and that's mainly because they're completely different games. Rocket League is going for a more competitive esports thing, and it always was. Back when it came out, it's a sports score-based game. When Destruction AllStars isn't going for that. It is way more of like an arcade classic.
I feel the
game.
comparisons are more in the line of it being a multiplayer game that you play with your friends that blows up because of PS Plus. At least that's how I've always used it. But
I don't know,
I
because I feel like a lot of people say, oh, it's the next Rocket League, and they immediately think, oh, it's going to be this massive multiplayer game that, is going to live on for years and years and become like a massive esport type thing. And I don't think that's what the game was ever trying to do. I think it's just trying to be a fun multiplayer game that you can just have fun with. You don't need to have like loads of skill. It's not one of those games that's easy to learn but hard to master. It's just easy to learn and then fun to play. There's not really any massive skill gap in the game, which I think is great. I just hope that it can consistently bring players in, which is why I'm interested to see what the price is going to be once it's not free with PS Plus in 2 months' time. So whether it will be, because if it's 70 £70 once it ends, I don't think there's any way that the player base grows. It needs to be cheap, or they need to continue making it free, because otherwise it's just gonna die off.
they should just honestly make it added to like the PlayStation Plus collection if it's $70. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, especially because you need PS Plus to play it anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, you don't, but to play online you do. So, but yeah, overall I'm enjoying it. It's just a fun multiplayer game, and I hope that people will give it a go if they have a PS5. It's free, so it doesn't hurt. And if you don't have a PS5, redeem it, because you can still redeem the game through the browser or the app. You just won't be able to play it until you get a PS5, but at least it'll still be
just
on
like
your
Bugsnax.
account. Exactly.
Definitely do that. Anyways, I guess that has been it for this week's episode of Critically Incorrect. Once again, I guess I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but ask for questions if you have any. We're always listening and willing to respond to that, to create some fun topics. And with that being said, we'll see you next week for episode 13. It's been me, Charlie, and Justin. We'll see you next time. Take care.
See you later.